But this is a great message from Kessler from Huddersfield. Says, hi guys, great show like always. I'm sorry I don't agree with those calling for Iriola. He's the absolute wrong choice unless the club is going to sell at least 8 to 12 players and replace them with Iriola type players. He's a great coach, but he plays high intensity, high press, and history teams are renowned for not holding onto the ball for long.
Yeah, that's right. And what it'll do is he'll sort out, the thick from the thin in terms of players who can do what he wants to do. And if they can't do it, they're out.
He's saying not bad, but absolutely horrible for the profile of Chelsea's possession-based game players who are suited to mid-block and lots of possession.
I don't agree with that.
Under Iriola's intense press, and a lot of our players will sound more time on the will spend more time on the treatment table than on the pitch. James, Fofana, Lavia will have new neighbours as we don't have the physical profile for his system, and our 500 sporting directors won't sell all them players at the right time. Interesting. He reckons Chelsea deserve or need a possession-based manager like an Alonso.
When you come down to systems and you talk about that and high press or whatever and a physicality that a manager wants, that's one of the problems when you keep changing managers. Then you've got no philosophy about how you're going to play the game. You're just going randomly from manager to manager to manager to manager with different concepts. What you've got to say is, what are we going to be about? Or you're going to do, when you change to that manager, fully commit to him. So there's a difference what the hierarchy at Chelsea want to do. And when you talk about possession-based players, if you want to talk about possession-based players, look at PSG, right? Now, you can't get a better possession-based team than them. You ever seen them press? They press like you've never known, right? They are probably the best pressing team I've seen this year. And technically the best team. So if you want to compete with PSG, you've got to do both. You can't just do a mid-block and possession-based players, etc., etc. It ain't happening.
Absolutely. Just before we head to the phone lines, Andy in Glasgow, he says, Rangers man.
Oh, my goodness.
Rangers man.
Terrible result today.
He goes, great show for no football on again. Not too good today. Next 2 games are massive for the Rangers. I know this won't be read out, though, but you never know. More chance of Rangers winning the league. Andy, we read it out. I might mean you're winning the league, son.
What part of Scotland's accent from that you're trying to imitate there? Is that a Glaswegian or an Edinburgh?
Don't really know, but that's how it has it. Okay, you want nothing with kids. Let's go to Richard. Let's go to Richard, the Chelsea fan. Evening, Richard.
Evening, lads.
Another cup final for the Chelsea. Even when you're playing badly, you're still in cup finals.
It's awful. They're just papering over the cracks that game today. The players need to have a long, hard look at themselves after the way they performed lately. And if people are going on about us getting a new manager, no manager's going to come to us with any sense. All the time, the board of directors are telling them who they're going to have.
Yeah,
the manager needs.
I was going to say this, Richard. I was going to ask Pards this because Iriola, I imagine, would have had a lot to say at Bournemouth.
Well, hold on. Let's just put things in perspective here. Firstly, you got the ego of a manager, right? When you're at the top of your game, you think you can do anything.
Did you have one?
Yeah, of course. All the managers do. You have to. Otherwise, you're just going to crumble in the dressing room if you haven't got an ego strong enough to withstand some of the nonsense you have to put up with. But one of the attractions of Chelsea, I would say, is it's almost a free hit for the next manager because it's a failing club. They're going to, whoever goes in there, you're going to have a termination clause that gives you at least £10 million. Less, you might even have it all tied up with the 3 or 4 year contract or 5 year contract that you sign. That is a full entitlement if you sack me. That's the power that the next manager needs to have, and therefore it is still an attractive option. You've still got huge talent pool in that dressing room. The problem you got is there financial problems on the horizon, and it does sound a little bit like Chelsea have overstretched it and are now manoeuvring their lawyers to try and balance the books.
Yeah,
that is an issue.
The problem is when a new manager comes in, the sporting. It's not just the managers that are the problem at Chelsea. They haven't been the problem.
Yeah,
i.e., it's the sporting directors they need to sack. They're the ones telling, go and get it. We went and bought 2 wingers last season. We didn't need 2 wingers. I mean, Garnacho, I'll get my own opinion on that. But we went and bought Gittins before Garnacho. We were looking at Xavi Simons for ages.
Yeah.
We needed a goalkeeper. We offered £12 million for the Milan keeper, one of the Milan keepers. Chelsea went, no, they wanted 17. We offered 12. Okay, no, won't get him. But they're going to waste 80, 90 million on 2 wingers, one we didn't need, and go and buy loads of midfielders and not decent defenders. The problem is with the club is the goalkeeper's useless. He's not very good. And until they start letting the manager go, right, I want him, and I want him. I don't want him, and him. You're going to buy him.
I mean, and the problem you have when you have the sporting directors team that they have, that they're going to be very vulnerable to this new manager. They don't really want him to come and them to lose their jobs. So you can imagine they're trying to protect themselves a little bit. There is no doubt about that. But the ownership will have to see past it and get what they think is the right man. And let's hope, as you say, the decision they make next time is more successful and fruitful than the Liam decision was.
Let's go over to London, who joins us on the show. How are you, mate?
Hey, good evening. Good evening, Majestic. Good evening, Mr. Pardew. How are you?
Hello, London.
Another final for Chelsea. Does it make you a little bit happier today? Because I know a lot of the Chelsea fans have been fuming when I've been hearing the one with Rory.
I have to agree with the previous caller. That's just like masking over the cracks, all the stuff that's been just going on and stuff. I don't believe anything that the board are saying, about they're going to change, and if you're a realist, you just got to know that what they're saying is just like I think Simon Jordan, somebody said it during the week, that what Ekbali said, he wasn't speaking to the Chelsea fans, he wasn't speaking to anybody but the people that invested in the football club.
Yeah,
because we heard that there's so much money that's been, given to Chelsea coming from different directions, and that is worrying for Chelsea fans. So me personally, I think Areola at Bournemouth.
Yeah.
Is it Areola?
Yes. Yeah, Areola.
I would really like to see him at the helm. I think he is the type of manager for this structure, because you look at him at Bournemouth. Look how many of his best players been taken from him. Not once do you ever hear him moan about it. I don't want Glasner. With all respect to you, Mr. Pardew, I don't want no Glasner near Chelsea Football Club. The man made it clear that he, when he's being tested or challenged on losing his best players, he is quick to actually come out and moan about it. He even announced that he's leaving. So Areola, I look at Areola at Bournemouth as the perfect candidate for this. I don't want to hear these Cesc Fabregas talk. He ain't done nothing yet. We don't want to see another Maresca or a Liam. People where you ain't have enough experience. This man is managing in Spain. He's managing the Premier League. You've seen him. We've seen him. We've seen Bournemouth I understand it's a small ground, and the football probably is much more easy, to play, the free-flowing football. But I believe he can do it at Stamford Bridge. This is the man, I think, for Chelsea to go for right now, because he ain't going to moan about it.
The one thing I would say, London, is that, you are going to have a hot chase for him, because he's going to have 3 or 4 options. There's no doubt about that. And I think Man United could well be one of those.
I'm also with you, London, in terms of, if he comes, he's a perfect man to lead this project with the players that they've got, the young players as well. But he needs to have the final say. It's only going to work if Areola can manage that situation.
The point being that when he comes in, Madge, that hole has to be addressed. Do you know what I mean? In those initial meetings. Yeah. He needs to know that he's going to get the power that
I don't think the Chelsea board could help themselves, sir, even if they gave him the power.
I actually agree with you on that. I think it is a difficult one to take, and I think if he does have competition, i.e. a Man United or a club on a similar stature, then he might go elsewhere. But for Chelsea at the moment, it really is leaving them in a little bit of a strange position. A great football club, a fantastic budget that they've had, and a squad that really doesn't reflect that budget. So we have to wait and see in terms of what's going to happen.
Yeah, no, I absolutely agree with the fact that Pards is bang on the money there, and we have to see if the board are actually going to go by their word, or we're going to change things, because I just feel like it was lip service. And I think that's what Simon Jordan was.
And I think I know a lot of Chelsea fans, and I don't know if London agrees with this. I think a lot of Chelsea fans are sort of like, what can we do? Do you know what I mean? It's almost like we just have to, where are we going next? Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
A sort of an acceptance of the incompetence that's going on.
Well, I just don't know what Chelsea are at the moment, and that's what I keep saying, because, again, they are in the final. We know the quality of Chelsea. There's quality in that team as well. They're a huge club. And I just think if there's going to be a project with Chelsea, then Iriola, I think, is the perfect candidate for that project, but he has to be given the reins. He has to be in control. And we've seen...
Well, that's like any manager who goes in next.
Yeah.
You know, I think it's not a mystery to know that Liam really didn't have the kudos and power, I don't think, to really front up the ownership and
Correct.
say, you know, this is wrong. We're going to have to do something different. And maybe at the end he did, and that's probably why he's gone. Who knows?